Hey.
Hey, Miss Carey.
What's up?
Nothing. I'm just happy to be back is all.
Me too. My tummy kind of hurts.
Oh, that's forever. That's eternal for me.
Yeah. Oh, it's eternal? Like you never, does it stop?
It's never not hurting. You know that though.
When you had pancreatitis, it was just worse.
How humiliating that I actually didn't have pancreatitis.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You've been lying to me this whole time.
Well, I told you that my pancreas was in so much pain that it like sent shockwaves down my spine. And I was like, it's going to get removed. And then I went to a doctor who's allegedly supposed to be, good at their job for a living and was like, no, you're good. I was like, So
what do we do here?
What's the deal?
But you did famously say, LOL, I have pancreatitis. And I said, haha.
Yes. Well,
and
the
then
urgent
you said,
care,
no, I actually do.
Correct. The urgent care doctor who also accused me of having period pains said it could be pancreatitis. And you know that if I'm given a hypothetical diagnosis, I'll be running.
It's actually the most severe version of it that anyone's ever seen.
Yeah, exactly.
You maybe have something.
Yeah.
You need to be studied.
Maybe you can donate your body to Sloan Kettering or something.
Once this takes you, which it inevitably will.
Yeah.
Maybe you can sort of be an example for... That was like a huge like head rush to me when I had like a really rare tumor. And then like my doctor was like, can I bring in like some med students? Cause like they're never going to see this again. And I said, absolutely.
I said, as long as you put me in a gold leaf frame above the hospital and include my Instagram handle.
He did also like contact me years later and said like he was writing a book and he was basically asking for my consent to include my case in his book. And I said, absolutely, as long as you include a glamour shot of me.
Yeah. Here are my recent headshots.
Yeah, and here's my Hinge profile. I'm unique. Yeah. I've been through things.
Yeah, some recent stats about, some of my favorite movies and pastimes.
Yeah,
whatever.
My podcast, obviously.
Yeah. I'm like, you put Floundering in there now.
For sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was in 2020 when he asked me that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I think we are bound by our shared stomach pain.
Thank you.
I've never felt closer.
That's so good.
I also did on the way over here. I pulled up Instagram and was reminded that today's a pretty auspicious day.
What?
Well, I feel like I'm honestly surprised you haven't brought it up yet. But
yesterday was Nick Jonas's birthday.
Yesterday was Nick Jonas's birthday, and today the moon is in like 3 different phases at the same time.
Oh well, it's a lunar eclipse.
But apparently, it's also a harvest moon and
a full moon
and a full moon.
Yeah.
And all of these things I know for sure are different.
They definitely are different. I think all the moons have like a different little name to them. Like sometimes it's like the wolf moon and sometimes it's like the spider moon. And I made that up. But I don't understand what any of those mean ever.
I was kind of like hoping you would tell me what.
Well, I have been consuming a lot of TikToks about the eclipse and what it means. I don't think I've not learned anything of substance, although I have cried twice today. So, and I am blaming the eclipse on that.
No, of course.
Yeah.
And based on, again, the 3-picture carousel that I saw, something about Pisces, something about water.
Yeah.
So tears, of course, make so much sense in that context.
It's the Pisces Virgo axis, which is like the moon is like shifting axes because it used to be on the Libra, some other axis. Yeah, so this is an astrology podcast now. As you can tell, I'm really well versed in it.
Also, it's incredible what you learn in the span of 2 scrolls. But there's some celebrity astrologist, I think his name is like Kyle Thomas.
Okay.
Our 4 YouTube subscribers better not come for me if I'm wrong. But have you looked up a picture of this guy, or are you familiar with his work?
No, and I don't think that anyone named Kyle should be working in the spiritual realms.
Dude, thank you. I opened up Google and procured a picture of this guy, and he literally looks like someone who would like recommend a French tuck for me. Like, he doesn't look like someone who's in tune with the stars.
Huh. He's very famous?
He's like quoted in pieces about the moon being like celebrity astrologer. That's his quote attribution, celebrity astrologer.
Damn. Oh, you know what? I just remembered that today no one's going to care about this, but Tyler Henry.
No.
Oh, well, he's a Hollywood medium.
Okay.
And he's like a very famous medium who had this show on.
Wait, hold on. Is his quote attribution Hollywood medium?
Yeah.
And this guy's
for sure.
just celebrity astrologer?
Right. That's what made me think of it.
Mine's pancreatitis survivor.
Mine's tummy hoots girl.
Mine's owie. Owie tummy.
Mine's rare tumor girl.
They're still talking about you.
I'm sure he is. And he retired long ago, but he apparently still sits in on meetings about certain patients, including me.
Fascinating.
Yeah, because they're like kind of waiting with bated breath to see if it grows back. But it hasn't. So anyway.
It'd be so big for you though if it did.
I really don't want it to.
I know, I don't either.
I aggressively like, and I had like some weirdness last year when like I was feeling pain there, and I like truly had another moment of like, oh, interesting, like amputation of my leg. Cool.
Right. No, you
happening.
kind of like contend with the other side of like, what's life like post this?
Right. Exactly. Which we've discussed. But no, so far it's been 12 years and no growth. So.
Wow. Fascinating. And I'm on kind of like 6 months of no pancreas pain.
That's amazing.
So we are actually the same.
We're the same.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to keep you guys updated on our medical
of course.
lives.
Absolutely.
I was thinking
Wait, what were you saying about the medium?
Just that he had a Netflix special come out today, or there was like, he's doing like a live Netflix reading, like mediumship thing. And I'm going to miss it because we're doing this, which is just shows how dedicated I am to this podcast, because I would never miss a live Tyler Henry medium moment. I love him so much. You should look him up.
What's his like, what's he look like? Give me a vision.
He's a little blonde twink, and he's I'm obsessed with him because he is a very talented medium, and he had a reality show kind of recently where he basically talks about like what his life is like when he's not doing readings. And because it's so like energetically taxing, he basically spends all day like in bed, which actually we'll get to in one of our topics for today. But I was like, I've never related to someone more like spiritually deeply spiritually connected, profound channel, and also needs to sleep for 20 hours a day.
Yeah. Remarkable how like his version of taxing is like, hey, look, I was communing with like different astral planes and spirits for like basically 3 weeks straight. And I'm like, I had a 15-minute check-in with my boss, and I actually need to be under the ground.
Yeah,
6 feet under.
I had to write a memo, and it was hard.
I had to reschedule a doctor's appointment.
Oh my God.
Are you kidding? Don't even. That's for literally a spin-off podcast.
I was really pissed on Friday because I had an eye doctor appointment scheduled, and I called them ahead of time just to make sure everything was like all good. And they were like, hey, you have an appointment, right? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, okay, actually we don't take your insurance. And I was like, you could have told me that before I like put makeup on for this.
Oh my God. Wait, you took like a Zoom call with them?
No, but I like got ready for the appointment.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
And I was like, I don't put clothes on normally.
Yeah. Isn't this something that you can like run on the back end?
Shoot me an email.
Before I choose to, put pants on with a button.
When
like,
ZocDoc texts me 50,000 times before the appointment to tell me to check in.
Yeah, surely you can figure this out.
Yeah.
Also, I love how like maybe like a third of what we talk about is like big medical, but I've been in search of a new primary care provider because mine is famously like my gyno, who I forced to be my primary care provider. I'll be like, hey, reaching out about my headache. And she's like, what? Like, I literally can't help you with that.
You're like, hey, actually,
answer
I'm just
the phone.
Curious how your husband's doing.
Yeah. It's like, so I'm dealing with like a lot of depression and anxiety. She's like, how is your vagina? That is literally my only job. But anyway, I finally beat her door down in the form of Mount Sinai in-app messaging. And I was like, hey, I really need your recommendation for a primary care provider. And she got on the phone with me, and God bless her, she was like, I'm going to list a couple of names. One of them is a woman. And I was like, I'll stop you right there. You don't need to list all the names.
You can just list that one.
Yeah, like just give me her name and we'll be okay here.
So is that who you're going to?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Of course. And I'm going to go in, I'm going to say, take 25 vials of blood and tell me that I'm not going to die, and I'll be on my way.
Right.
That to me is an annual check-in.
Yeah.
I'm like, drain me of my blood and tell me I'm good. for like at least the next 6 months.
Right.
I'll be
I
out
should
of your hair.
require a little packet of crackers and juice after we're done here. Like, lest I pass out on the floor.
Literally. I want you to give me like a 15-minute you can't stand up warning. Else you will actually
I want to
die.
feel a little woozy when we're done here.
I need to have someone pick me up from the appointment. That's how much blood I lost.
Yeah. I need it to be dangerous for me to operate a motor vehicle for sure.
Wait, have you ever do you have like a silly waking up from anesthesia story?
Yeah. It's not that silly, I guess, but when I was getting
Where's Papa? It's like really sad all of a sudden.
Yeah, I actually started crying. No, when I got my rare tumor removed, actually it was like the biopsy that they did on it first, and I had to go under for that. And I was like really nervous going into it because like we didn't know what it was. And so when I woke up, I immediately was asking the nurse, like, what was it? And she was like, it's fine. Like, it's benign. And I was like, yay. And then she started like talking to me about her son. And I was like, asking her nonstop questions about like her son and like skateboarding and like how he likes to skateboard. And she was just like, and like she was having none of it. And I was like, oh, I thought I'm being like really charming right now.
She was like, ma'am, I have not been listening. Like, she's like on another call.
She's like, I'm just here to make sure you're like alive right now.
She like hangs up. She's like, what was that?
Yeah. Do you
That's
have
really
one?
funny. I've only been under anesthesia once. I was so freaked out to do it. Because I feel like, you know how I feel like in the same way that like before you go to college, your parents are like, I know someone who died from cocaine once. I'm like, I'm going to be the person who died from anesthesia once.
Oh yeah, you read like one Chicken Soup for the Soul book and you're like, oh, I'm going to die.
Yeah. Oh my God, I totally forgot about those. This is like very much Chicken Soup for the Soul season.
What do you mean?
This is like when I would be cracking open those books. It's a little cozy
really?
out. Yeah.
I used to read them at camp.
Cute.
Because I went to Christian camp famously.
Of course.
And those books were like Christian coded.
I was going to say they were very Christian coded.
But they always had some story in there. Like I remember like genuinely thinking that if you drive an ATV, it's a death sentence. Yeah. No, yeah. It's like if that happens one time, you're done.
You're going to get pregnant and then get beheaded and die.
Yeah, for sure. All at once. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I totally forgot that those were like real life Jodi Picoult stories where it was like 25 people died. I
need to know what the like accumulation process was like. Like they just like, hey, have you experienced a trauma?
Yeah, like
in.
What's the marketing call?
I don't know.
Have 25 people died in the last week in your life? You might be a good fit for a project we have going on.
We don't pay you, but you'll be featured in a book. So
but your first and last name will be used, and we might actually list your home address as well.
Wait, but what happened when you had anesthesia?
Yeah. It was for my wisdom teeth. I had to get all 4 of them out for no reason other than the dentist wanted all my money. And I actually remember I remember blacking in being like, am I the best patient you all have ever had? And similarly, all of them were like, she's not being funny anymore. Like she's being quite annoying. But my mom was in the room when I like woke up, and apparently I was like walking them through a panini that I would be eating that afternoon.
You would not be eating a panini.
No, and literally all of them were like, hey, so it's going to be yogurt.
Hey, it's going to be Jell-O
it's
for sure.
It's going to be basically just liquid. I was like, crusty focaccia.
It's like literally the worst possible thing you could eat.
They like really let me live in the lie, I think, too.
Wait, when I got my wisdom teeth out, this is a perfect encapsulation of my relationship with my mother because I had anesthesia for that, and when I came to, it was like, you know, you're a little woozy, you're still a little like high or whatever. And later on, I was asking my mom like if I said anything funny or if I was being funny, and she was like, I didn't like seeing you like that. Because she's like so anti-drug. And I'm like, you think I'm going to do this recreationally now? Like, what's going on?
She's like, you're being quite flip, actually. My mom, similarly, I think was like entertained at first and then also just like shook by the effect of anesthesia on me and how I was like hamming it up. Where I was like, wait, this is my drug of choice. Was she at all
surprised by that?
No, of course not. But
it's
I think
like the
she
most
was
on-brand thing ever.
Upset that I wasn't like subdued. I was like a more elevated version of myself.
There's no like amount of lithium that we could give this girl that could ever suppress.
No lobotomy can take that spark out of me.
Yeah.
But they obviously sent me home with like a cocktail of like hydrocodone and like all sorts of things. And we had like, she made me in my like bleeding, drooling mouth state stand over the toilet and watch her flush them all. And one of them was an extra strength Tylenol. I was like, okay, at least let me have that.
One of them was a Motrin IB.
One of them was a Flintstone vitamin. She was like, not today.
Yeah, our moms are so the same like that.
Yeah, no, my mom is like about as anti-substance as it gets. Like I will tell her I have a headache and she's like, do everything you can before taking an Advil.
Oh my God, yeah.
But also like I've learned Advil is probably like so heinous for, not probably, like Advil is very bad for your stomach if you take it often.
Okay.
I haven't heeded that advice.
I don't like to know about that.
I used to take Advil in college like it was a multivitamin.
Yeah, I mean,
I would wake up, I'd say coffee, orange juice, 5 Advil.
College is all about poisoning your body in every way possible.
Definitely.
That's the only reason that we're doing that. It's like you pay $100,000 to almost die.
I was putting stevia in things that did not need stevia. I was like,
is stevia bad for you?
It's just like aspartame.
Oh.
It's like crystal aspartame.
It just sounds like
fun.
It sounds nicer.
Wait, did I say stevia?
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant Splenda.
Splenda. Okay.
Of course.
Because stevia is like the natural.
Oh no, stevia is all goody.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's not great, but
it's fine.
No, Splenda is like you can start your car with it. You can straighten your hair with it. It will blind you, but it also makes your ice cream taste kind of
it's delish.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was really addicted to it.
Yeah, I can't even remember. I remember like when I first went to college, because my upbringing like was so, my parents were like so intense about like food, especially my mom. Like we had like snacks and stuff in the house, but there was like so much judgment around like eating, and like there was just a lot of intensity with that. And then I remember like going to college and being like, and there's like no parents and you can eat as many types of cereal as you want all the time.
We shared that.
Yeah.
I went fucking buck wild my freshman year of college. We had like, our cafeteria was pretty nice, but we had this like dessert section. In addition to, of course, having like an all-you-can-eat buffet for every meal.
Right.
But I would fill myself up like a stein, like a Oktoberfest stein of chocolate milk. And I would eat these things called like Oreo like stuffed to hole bars or something. It was like such it was like such a crass word to say like this is the worst thing ever for you.
They only make it for universities. It's like not sold in stores.
Oh no, it's like blacklisted elsewhere. But it was like a blondie, a brownie, a layer of cookie, and then Oreo crumbles on top. And I would dunk that into my October Steiner of chocolate milk.
Of chocolate milk.
Yeah, babe.
Damn.
Have I showed you a picture of my freshman year lacrosse headshot?
No.
I look fucking built.
Can we post it on Instagram?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have my hands behind my back in such a way where like you can see the pure bulge of 2 veins on either side of my neck, and my traps are literally up to my ears.
You're a growing boy.
I was a growing boy, body by Ovaltine. Not even. Body by Hershey.
Body by Oreo hole. Stuff a hole.
Body by Stuff a da hole. No one take that name, by the way. Stuff a da hole.
Stuff a da hole. Should we get into our first segment?
Yeah, cool. Happy cold open.
It's been 30 minutes.
Oh my God. Yep, it certainly has been. Time flies.
Yeah.
When your hole's getting stuffed. Welcome to Floundering.
Yeah, welcome to Floundering.
We missed y'all. Yeah, we should absolutely get into our first segment before I venture into any other dangerous
because we could
topic.
Just keep going like this into perpetuity. But
right. I think
Maxim has to leave eventually.
Yeah, Maxim's like, as a reminder, this is my last one today, and I'm really excited.
As a reminder, I'm going on a trip to kind of get away from all of this.
Yeah. It's kind of like the only thing I'm hanging on to right now is the notion of like taking a break. So
yeah,
I'm like, we top up mid-recording. I'm like, can we toss an extra 30 minutes on? Put it on my card.
yeah, it's fine.
Okay, yeah, so flip or flop.
So
Let's get into it.
Yeah, so this is our opening segment, which we do halfway through the podcast, where we rate our time apart. So as everyone knows, we do this podcast and then we never speak.
Mm-hmm.
And our time apart is always marked with highs and lows, but it's usually bad.
Of course.
But we like to just highlight a thing or two, good thing, flip, a bad thing, flop, that we go through during this time. So yeah.
I also love that we like have the script down now.
I feel like you always introduce flip or flop. And so that was like actually really scary for me just now.
I loved that.
Oh, thanks.
I'm going to try message in a bottle because famously I think that's the segment that you always
I always introduce that one.
Yeah.
So wow, we're role reversing today.
I know. So while you guys kind of like recover from that, do you want me to go first?
I can go.
You go first.
Okay. I have a flop.
Surprise, surprise.
I did 2 flips 2 weeks in a row. So
you did.
Yeah.
Of course.
I could have done a flip, but I wanted to do a flop. And I also, this is like me calling myself in a little bit because what I've been doing is shameful and needs to be brought to light.
Sure.
So lately, I don't know what happened to me, but I have been lurking on what are known as snark subreddits. Are you familiar with this concept?
I'm familiar now that since you put it in the pod doc.
Yeah. So first of all, just the term snark I have a problem with, but here I am like living for these subreddits. In particular, there's this one like TikTok creator who is just like known for having quite a combative audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like she has a lot of followers, but like a lot of them hate her.
Mm-hmm.
And she like recently has decided to quit her full-time job as a teacher to pursue TikTok full-time. And everyone is like hardcore judging her. And she like basically deletes all the comments on her videos that are like in any way critical. So then everybody who hates her just goes to the subreddit. And the subreddit is growing it's growing exponentially.
Damn. I'm surprised that she doesn't just turn off. But she wants to keep the positive comments.
The positive comments. Okay. And it's like comments are like important for the algorithm and stuff. Not that I know anything.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Yep. For us, for later, if you were going to be commenting. But yeah, I have just been, and it's just very low vibrational. Like these subreddits are filled with the most miserable people you've ever encountered.
Yeah.
And they're just being mean for the sake of being mean. And like calling out really minute things that are just like, let this person live. But then it's like, no, I actually need to be here to like witness this for some reason. Yeah. And I don't really know I actually think I do know what's going on with me.
For being there.
Yeah, for being there.
I mean, it's funny because like there is something so like it does scratch some weird itch to just see like, because it's kind of like people acting out like their most base thoughts that like we all have them and they all cross our mind. And like, it's so you never want to act on them and you never do because it's like, if I say this out loud, like I'm a
cunt.
I am really a cunt. I am like desperately in for it. And I feel like Reddit is like kind of a space to be like your id a little bit where you can just kind of let your little like internal imp play
1000% because it's like so anonymous.
Yeah.
Like no one knows what you look like, who you are.
It's
like,
no consequence.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like maybe not anonymous in that. I guess can you like I don't really know like the inner workings of Reddit. I just like have whatever account I'm signed into and I'm just a voyeur. But can people like click into your account and see other shit that you've commented on?
You can like, you have like a profile basically where like if someone were to look at my profile, they would know where I was posting.
Yeah.
And if I did post on this girl's subreddit, there would be a record of that.
Yeah.
But that's why I try not to make my presence known.
I also feel like Reddit has kind of like built its platform on being the like judgment-free zone.
It's like judgment free, but then also judgment full.
Judgment full. Yes, exactly. It's like pass on your judgment in the most judgment free
It
way.
really is like the shadow of humanity encapsulated. Yes. Like it's just the darkness of the world lives on Reddit. And like I very much am aware that like I have certain beliefs about like judgment and like how to treat people and like wanting to be a force for good in the world. And then I like under the cover of darkness at night. Like I'm scrolling through a subreddit talking shit about this girl. Like it's actually, but I guess it's like
are you participating or are you just looking?
No, I'm just lurking.
Oh, dude, you're absolved of all guilt. I actually feel like, I think that some people engage with Reddit in a way to like prevent themselves from doing bad things in the physical world. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, let me get this out of my system.
I feel like every mass shooter has like started on Reddit just to try to contain it, and they can't.
And yeah, right. The playground is simply too small.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry to laugh about that.
That was brutal. It's funny. I feel like I've always gone to Reddit in like a super like purely factual informational way. Like if I'm trying to decide if I should have a thermal or glass carafe for a coffee maker that I'm trying to buy.
Totally.
And I trust those opinions more than like any peer-reviewed article.
Yeah.
But I've recently really started to get into Am I the Asshole on Reddit, which is like a similar place of just like 9 times out of 10 I read these, I'm like, yeah, dude, you're the asshole.
And like you voluntarily chose to like post that whole story that you look really bad.
It's kind of like a confessional though.
Yeah.
Like I feel like people are just like, I did this really heinous thing and can I just get like a quick gut check if anyone's on my side? And people are like, hey buddy, we're not on your side.
And it is just like unmitigated truth. Like people are just like so unfiltered with their opinions. And there's something kind of beautiful about that. Yes. Even when it's like mean.
Yeah.
And it's maybe especially when it's mean.
Yeah.
So anyway, maybe it's not a flop. Maybe it's a flip.
Well, I also feel like what makes Reddit, again, I'm like, I don't know the like ins and outs of Reddit versus like, I don't know what makes like X such a bad place, but it seems like, and actually this relates to something that we're going to get into. Like it seems like a platform that still prioritizes like community engagement versus just like having the algorithm spit out whatever the most engaged thing is. Like obviously there's like the whole upvoting thing and like probably threads with more engagement will like surface higher in the feed, but like it really does seem like kind of the most analog form of social media that way, where it's just like, oh, you're just coming to chat about whatever.
Yeah, no,
you're not getting served
it's
weird
like the
shit.
closest thing we currently have to like the chat rooms of your like message boards. Like it's the anonymity, the fact that you're talking to total strangers, but it's like very text based.
Yes.
And it's like, like you said, community based. Like there is just something like nice about it. And there have been certain subreddits that like have really changed my life in a good way. Like certain ones that are about like trauma experiences and like hearing other people having similar experiences and like sharing them. Like that's so therapeutic.
Oh yeah. It really is. Like when you see the good sides of it, like, I don't know, I've gone on while I'm like planning for a trip or something. And I'm like, the way that people are just showing up for strangers with like the most thoughtful, heartfelt, like cafe recommendations in this obscure part of the country, like that's really heartwarming.
Yeah.
And then of course there's other parts where it's like this woman deserves to die.
Right.
The death of a million cuts.
She's such a joke. Like if she thinks she's going to make a living off of TikTok, she's so stupid and she's such a fat, ugly whore. Like it's just like, whoa.
It's like, good God.
Yeah.
But I also feel like it's like saying the thing out loud. It's like saying the thing that you're thinking out loud about like influencer culture, where it's just like, girl, you're no one.
Yeah.
Why are you better than me? Which I feel like we've talked about all the time with people who are just like seemingly famous for no reason.
Yeah. And also like when I feel like this is a universal experience of like having an opinion on something and wanting that opinion to like be validated or reflected somewhere, like Reddit, that's
oh, you will find exactly what you want to find.
I had an opinion that I hadn't heard anyone express regarding Sabrina Carpenter. And I, of course, decided to take to Reddit and see if anyone, and people did. And I was like, thank God. Because
wait, what's your opinion?
I don't want like the stands to come for me. And I'm not saying I don't like Sabrina Carpenter. I obviously do. And she's great. But I like get a little bit upset about her lyrics. Like, I just feel like she's, it gives pick me sometimes. And it's stressful. Like I don't know.
No one was asking you. No, we've talked about this before too, where it's just like, you don't need, remember when we talked, it was when Beyonce came out with her album and you're like, the way that this one single person
got
was just
dragged through the
absolutely,
coals.
flattened.
For just like saying she didn't like the album.
For being like, it was a fine album.
Yeah,
I feel like this is what's happening now where you're just like, it's not for me. Like, I feel like, the
well,
lyrics
it's like,
could be a little deeper.
And we'll get into, we'll talk about this later, but just like the lack of nuance in being able to talk about anything where it's like, why can't I be a fan of Sabrina Carpenter and also like kind of thoughtfully critique some of her lyrics, which happen to be like putting women down often. Like,
yeah.
And I get that you're so happy that men are into you, but like maybe you don't have to do it at the expense of other women.
Sorry for probing the conversation.
Right.
Sorry for pushing it in a more intellectual direction. Soy me.
Soy me.
Soy me.
So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, flip and flop for sure. Because I feel like, I've seen the good sides of Reddit. And I also just feel like it's a very like fertile ground for takedown culture to just have like absolutely no repercussions where it's like you can really go ahead and say whatever you want.
Well, and I think ultimately I am exploring, this is me doing some shadow work because it's like this person I find like super annoying and like grating and self-centered and like is trying to make a living on the internet. And it's like, are those all things about me? Like,
yes.
And it's like, yeah. So I feel like in trying to view this content, I'm like trying to prepare myself for the possibility of like being on the receiving end of this kind of discourse.
Yeah.
And it's fucking brutal. People are mean.
People are so mean.
But no one's ever going to be mean.
And people are so creative with how mean they are too. I'm like, how'd you come up with that?
And people are really funny when they're mean too.
Direct that towards me.
It's so brutal when someone makes like a really funny, mean comment.
I know.
Like, damn.
I was watching something, some stand-up bit about someone was like, you've never been insulted by a middle school girl.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have, you know that it's going to stick with you for 55 years.
Oh, was it Caleb Heron?
Oh, who was it? Oh, it was Nico.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, where they're like,
I know that bit.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so true where it's just like, I've said things to my brothers that on their deathbed, they'll be like, do you really think that my eyebrows look that way? I'm like, well, yeah, but you have good qualities too. So no worries. It's fine. It's totally fine. But yeah, that's where I feel like those comments play.
Yeah. Well, look out for a Floundering snark subreddit, which I will probably create tonight just so people can have a place to go, find community.
I would be honored if people skewered us alive.
I think
if people cared enough to skewer us alive.
I think that people will love you and be obsessed with you and find me insufferable.
You know that's not true at all.
Yeah, I do. I know it's true.
You're the wise one and I'm the one with the like nasally voice.
Shut up.
No, these are what the people say in our snark comments.
Yeah, well, we'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, well.
I look forward to that.
No, seriously, we're going to make this page. The cousins will flock.
Okay, let's do yours.
Mine's actually related. And it's actually making me realize that like I need to be spending more time on more productive forms of social media. I am on Instagram way too much. My flop is my For You page. What the fuck is going on there?
Yeah, I don't really look at that.
So
it's so like not correct for me.
Thank you. So that's kind of my observation right now, where it's basically like they've pegged me as someone who's on the brink of potentially having a child.
Oh.
So it's like a lot of mom talk, but a lot of children with like severe behavioral disorders and the mom kind of like trailblazing a path to be open and honest about what it's like to have like a violent nonverbal kid. Like there's literally 5 of them that I could probably rattle off the top of my head. And then behind door number 2 is like intense mukbang content of people making like spaghetti pizza, shove it into whole bars.
And they're really shoving it into holes on those mukbangs sometimes.
I mean, yeah. Tiny
it's like
holes,
so
big food.
Disturbing.
No, it's really vile. Plus like layer on the most like grating ASMR it's bad. So anyway, it's like either mukbang or like disturbed mom content. fathers or significant others are never present in any of these. It's like always kind of like single mom appearing people.
Yeah, because you'll need that.
Yeah. And then on the off chance that I find something that looks like remotely funny, I'll click into it and it's like kind of trad wife adjacent content of someone being like, that feeling when your husband leaves little surprises around the apartment for you. And it's like a woman picking up his dirty boxers and like,
it's like the King James Bible. Just like
like discarded takeout containers. So anyway, I'm like, is this what the algorithm has like boiled a woman my age down to?
Well, that's the thing. I don't understand like what Instagram is using for this, because it can't be right for anyone.
It's also like so supremely not what I'm engaging with.
Right. Like is it just demographic? Because because it can't be, because we're like the same age. And
are you seeing nonverbal violent
I'm
children
seeing,
content?
I'm seeing like inspirational quotes about how everything's going to be okay.
I would love, I would like, kill.
Like real compilations of like different Ariana Grande performances.
I want to catch
which
your
I guess
algorithm.
That is kind of.
That's so you.
Yeah, but it's like what I don't get is why so much Ariana Grande? Like I don't follow her that intensely. Like I don't even really like her stuff, but it's like supremely Ariana Grande forward.
Yeah, that's interesting. And honestly, it's just like I think the algorithm's just dumb.
I think it's really dumb. And
it's like Carey kind of likes the women of pop, so we're just gonna give her like the highest ponytail of them all.
Yeah. Well, and you compare it to the TikTok algorithm, and it's like night and day. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I don't go on Reels ever, so I don't really know what that's like for me. But, like TikTok knows me, like, personally.
I know. Well, and maybe it's like actually a good thing that I'm not being understood by that's what
that's what they think
like
that you are. Yeah. That's how they think you speak.
It's maybe a good thing that I'm not understood by my algorithm, because it might be a sign where it's like, don't come to Instagram seeking pleasure. But what's so sad about my brain is that I will let myself scroll until my teeny little fingers bleed all over my screen.
When you say scroll on Instagram, are you like scrolling through your feed, like through like
my
grid posts?
My search, my explore page.
Okay, so you're Explore.
Yeah.
You do that? I don't like
all the time.
Do people do that a lot? Like I can't relate.
Do that? I'm like, I'm telling you proudly that I do.
Yeah, I just didn't know if like you're in the majority of people, because am I missing out?
No,
on
I think most people have migrated smartly to TikTok, where like at least like some form of like creativity, and like at least the algorithm is like slightly creative on TikTok.
I've also just reached like the point of my like journey through having my privacy stolen on the internet that I would much rather a website just know what I like, even if it means, well,
this is what I'm saying, like major swing and a miss on Instagram side, because like I have literally on a little platter handed over all of my PII, all of my personal identifiers.
Oh, I was like, what is that?
And you're just getting it flat wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'm not afraid of the big bad algorithm, I guess.
I don't get how it's so bad. If somebody works at Facebook and can tell us why your algorithm is so bad, let us know.
It goes back to what we were saying last time. Like, how can AI get it so right sometimes?
And howdy doody, partner.
Howdy doody, business brethren.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So that is my flaw. But I guess the flip in it is that I'm noticing that Floundering's Instagram, which, yes, is an account that 100 of you who I followed first have also,
169.
Actually, so true. Our angel number, by the way.
Yeah.
We see that number everywhere. And I'm not even trying to be crass.
It's always 169. Where
it's always 6969 all over the place. Oh, yeah. Literally our angel number. Floundering's Explore for You page is actually kind of like what I imagine a fresh start algorithm would be, where I'm like, oh my God, it's like stand-up clips and like restaurant recommendations and I don't know, verbal well-behaved children.
Yeah, just kind of normal cute kids.
Yeah. Not like supremely violent, scary ones.
Who will later become violent due to the exploitation of them on the internet. Of course.
But I'm saying it's like the fresh algorithm.
Yeah.
Like that will come later. But right now I get them in their kind of like untainted state.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm sorry that you're going through that.
That's okay. It's also kind of like so fitting that, and honestly, like it's poetic justice that we have two flops tied to social media.
Yeah.
That's a good thing for us.
I think so.
We shouldn't be seeking flips.
The universe is aligning always.
The supermoon is surging, pulsing.
The eclipse is revealing our deepest shadows and shames.
Yeah, for real.
So, yeah. Well, speaking of Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
We wanted to talk about a topic. Do we want to get into it?
I think we should. You're so good at finding these little thought pieces. So I want you to introduce the thought piece that you found.
Okay, well, maybe people have seen it. I literally forget what website it was on. New Yorker?
Something like that.
One of those. There was a think piece written about the tyranny of the Instagram dump, or like the desperation of the Instagram dump is what it's called. So everyone pause this and go read that.
For sure.
And then
we'll
come
be here,
back here because we will have a much stupider way of talking about it than
and we paid Maxim for 2 more hours. So like we actually will still be here.
Yeah, so we'll still be here kind of waiting for you guys to finish that.
And that's okay, right, Maxim? Yeah. Okay, cool.
And it has to do with like the Instagram's other recent bad decision to expand the carousel limit to 20 photos as opposed to 10.
Yeah.
I can't believe they did this.
I can't either.
And what I can't believe more than that is that people are utilizing it.
People have 20 pictures to share. I'm like, girly.
It makes me want to actually throw up every time I see like a 16 photo carousel. I'm like, do you not understand like what we're dealing with here? Like, I don't want to look at this for longer than 5 seconds.
Yes.
And you're making, and I have mental issues, and like I I have a thing where like if I start swiping through it, like I have to reach the end.
Oh,
like
of course.
It's like otherwise I go insane.
It's a fixation. Yeah, me too.
And I'm like, do you understand like what you're putting us through?
Yeah.
It's hell out here.
Yeah. I thought the piece was I thought it was so great, and they used a phrase that I feel like maybe has been tossed around in other contexts, but it's like extremely nonchalance.
Yeah.
Where it's like
1000%.
a really like messy tablescape, but like things are just arranged just so, or like one like funny meme in the middle of like an Instagram dump about someone's trip to Positano.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, you having a funny meme about an Aperol spritz doesn't change the fact that I'm looking at 40 pictures of you in a villa.
Right.
But yeah, it also just brought me back to like how extremely nonchalant to like a fault our like original photo albums used to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
Where like we were literally at risk of like losing our job and getting locked up because of what we chose to post. Like I remember some of the shit that I used to post after like a high school party, and like in the background you could see someone like face down in the grass because we were like drinking in the woods.
Yeah.
And like in my hands would be like 2 Four Locos taped together, and the only part blurred out would be like the L of Four Loco. Yeah. So the rest was just Oco. Or I'm like, that was nonchalance.
Right. That was true nonchalance. Also, like all those photos were taken on like your Canon power shot.
Full flash.
Yeah, full flash, and everybody's eyes were just like insane.
Yeah.
There, like that was true like storytelling and like time capsule creating. Like
yes.
Whereas, and also like I think with the Facebook of it all, like
there's also no curating. I was like, I took 175 pictures
and they're
at
all
this
uploaded.
Drink in the woods, and they're all going up.
And I'm just gonna make it like senior like smiley face.
Senior year squiggle.
Senior year with 5 R's.
Yeah, senior year. Everyone's
Squiggle,
tagged, including the university I applied to, early decision.
Yeah, but also like with that, you know, you're on a desktop usually. So you're not being gatekept from the rest of the album. Like you can see a lot of photos at one time.
Yes.
And I feel like that makes a huge difference versus the Instagram thing where it's like, no, you get one at a time and you have to spend your precious one life on this planet.
Yep.
scrolling through to the end.
Yeah. And also it's funny how like upping it from 10 to 20 isn't the difference of like a carousel versus an album. It's just like more indulgence. It's more self-indulgence. Like,
oh my God. It genuinely makes me like stressed out to think about them.
I hope that people, well, actually, I was going to say, I hope that people aren't engaging with them, but I literally just said you and me both have a physical compulsion to have to get through the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's only fodder for them to be like 20 more pictures.
Right. That's why I've started like not looking at dumps at all, because I was struggling with dumps before this. I was contending with my hatred of dumps, and also just the frequency with which people are posting the dumps
and using dumps in the caption.
Oh, yeah.
Kill me.
Also,
why
it's
don't
like
you?
The Gregorian calendar was not created for your dumps. Like, I'm sorry, but like, why every single month do we have to know exactly what you ate for every meal?
You think the indigenous people of Teotihuacan made up a sun calendar for this shit? You gotta be fucking kidding me.
No, time was not a human construct created for your dumps. It was for us to be able to tell what's past and what's future and what's present.
Literally.
Okay? It's really unsettling and
it's
like
so dark.
And I'm not trying to like limit people's expression, like express and love your life, but for the love of God, handle your dumps.
Handle your dumps.
Also, do you know the comedian Jake Cornell?
Yeah.
He had a funny TikTok about this, where he was like saying a lot of this same stuff about how the 20 photos is like way too many. And then also like, if I'm in your like 16 photo dump and I'm like the 15th or 16th photo, I just assume that you hate me and don't respect me at all. Because what am I doing? No one's going to see that. I'm not even going to see it.
Oh my God. Well, that's a whole other thing. I'm like, without Instagram, maybe, or it probably wasn't intentional, but I'm like, is this you trying to create like your own like top friends equivalent?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Where and it's like, so if I'm number 15, 16.
And think about that. You're encouraging, people are posting way less on the grid. And when they do post, it's 20 pictures at a time. And I'm saying, I didn't make it into your Q4 roundup. I am going to put a dull fork through my throat.
I'm going to Timbuktu it.
I'm going to Timbuktu it, sister.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, and like they were already being abused for that reason. And yeah, there's just so many problems I have with the culture of Instagram.
Yeah. I think the other funny thing too, and it actually kind of ties into the other thing that we wanted to talk about, which is kind of like, and I think we're expressing it here, which is just like, it's not, or maybe it's slightly different, but for anyway, I think what the dumps are starting to communicate is like proof of concept, like proof of life almost a little bit, where people can be like super off the grid. And then it's like one gasp of air to prove to people that they're up to something that's worth looking at. And then people go back to whatever it is that they're actually doing. And I also think it exacerbates the trend of like using Instagram to curate a life that feels a little bit more exciting than it actually is. Because I think the reality is that based on this other article that you shared, like people are just doing things way less now. Like our appetite for being out and about is just like, it's different now than it was in 2019 and before. And I almost wonder if like, these dumps are kind of like one really overt attempt to show people like we're actually out and about and we're actually doing things.
Yeah.
But the reality is like, no, just kidding. We're kind of like rotting away in our bed for most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's all of Instagram is just like performance of living. And it's like, okay, I mean, and I also think like not all dumps are created equal. Like certain dumps, it's like, okay, I respect that you went to Cinque Terre and you like have some beautiful photos. That, like those, that's great. But it's like the tyranny of like the monthly cadence where certain, like I know certain people who, and no, they're not listening to this, but sorry if you are, and you do this, where it's like, I know for a fact that you did not have that much fun in July. Like,
oh, def.
It's just, it's too much. And yeah, that's all I have to say, I guess.
I have a quick thought that I just need to check in on.
Yeah.
I'm like hoping there's not dog poop or gum on the bottom of my shoe. There's not. I was like boldly showing bottom of shoe for like the past hour. No poop.
You're good.
No poop. Quick poop check. That's our new thing. Quick poop check.
I mean, we did say dump no less than 40 times just now. So
Oh my God. Well, back to that real quick, because now I'm mad again. It's not funny to put a poop emoji in your dumb fucking caption.
people do that.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
I need to weed out some of my community.
Yeah. It's really exhausting. And maybe it's just because I'm one of the people who's like struggling in life and doesn't really have much to show for it. And yeah, have I not been featured in anyone's dump lately? No, I haven't. And like, maybe I'm bitter. Maybe I'm resentful. Or maybe I'm just truth telling like comedians should be doing instead of posting dumps.
Hey, say that. Yeah. I think what's the most grating about it for me is just like, it's a dump to me communicates back to like the Facebook album thing. Like, here's just like a lens into life lately. Life lately being the other caption with a little poop after it. Anyway, but it's like, that's actually not life lately at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's an extremely like chosen and delicate selection of things that are going to make you appear a very specific way to your fucking friends.
Right.
Like, Jesus.
And it very much feels like a MySpace top 8 situation where like the dump is posted and everybody gets tagged who's in it. And then everybody who makes the dump has to like comment something about how they're in it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just is like an echo chamber of like your weird friend group.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, no one's jealous of you. And also I've been to your hangs and they're not that fun.
And they're not it.
So anyway,
yeah,
I feel like it comes across as like bitterness whenever anyone wants to, like, I feel like my voice sounds like there's anger here, and like there is, because I'm just like, I'm so tired of experiencing this.
I'm also tired of my addiction where I can't stop looking. Like, I hate that I hate it, and I hate an equal amount that I can't stop like engaging with this shit.
I do feel very liberated from like Instagram in general. The only reason I even have it is because, well, I like posting on stories. I like that to me is
You're very
like
good at stories.
Yeah, I very much enjoy that aspect of Instagram. And I love seeing other people's stories because it's like, I don't know, that feels really creative actually.
Yeah.
But like I don't look at people's grid posts usually. I'll like stuff that I see at the top of my feed.
Yeah.
But like I think being so addicted to TikTok has really liberated me from Instagram, which is nice.
Which is why I should, of course, indulge.
No,
I must.
They're both bad.
I'm getting left behind. People are learning so many cool things.
No, but I'm like, it's the brain rot is setting in.
I'm learning how to bite into a homemade chicken gordita crunch dipped in buffalo sauce and Pringles.
Well, let me tell you that you're going to get that stuff on TikTok too. Lots of it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm like so genuinely scared of some of these mukbang people.
I'm too.
Like there's this one girl on TikTok who
I'm like, you will die, no?
No, like you are developing congenital heart failure as we speak.
You will die.
Yeah.
FYI. There's
this one girl who was like, she used to post like videos of herself doing like cardio dancing stuff. And then she at some point along the way transitioned into mukbangs. And now she's like visibly like becoming a different person, like just because she's eating a lot more.
Yeah.
And everyone's like kind of worried about her, but they get so much engagement.
But dude, that pipeline makes so much sense to me. Like
the dancing to mukbang pipeline.
Continuum of like extreme exercise culture to extreme binge eating culture. Like it all exists on the same continuum of disordered relationship with like food.
Well, speaking of disordered relationships that exist on a spectrum.
Sure. And don't talk about my Instagram reels that way. Talking about the kids.
That kind of reminds me of the next topic that we were going to get into, which is sort of related.
Yeah.
Which is another think piece that I actually came across on TikTok because the writer is a creator on TikTok and he was talking about the piece. But it's called The Mainstreaming of Loserdom. Go look that up, and we'll be here in 2 hours.
Yep.
Read the piece.
With Maxim, of course.
With Maxim, of course. And the Bone Museum guy who we met earlier.
To lay eyes on the Bone Museum.
It was huge.
CEO. Is that what he's called?
Yeah.
The maestro. I don't know. I'll pick his brain.
I can't riff with you on that.
I'm sorry.
I don't have any brain cells left.
I don't either.
But anyway, this article that I sent to Isabelle, it's about basically like the phenomenon of people online, like extreme introversion and like extreme intensity around like their attachment to their being in bed and like rotting and like never going out. And the reason I feel like it's relates to like the spectrum thing is like, again, it's another thing where it's like on the one end you have extreme introverts and then like other end it's like people who go clubbing, and it's like, can we like find some middle ground here? Because like it's really not either or of those two things. But yeah, I wanted to pick your brain about what you thought about that.
Yeah, I honestly like I read it and I kind of felt called in a little bit because I feel like I've built this whole like, and yeah, it's like said with like a teeny bit of irony, but I feel like my whole thing is like the bare minimum still exhausts me. Yeah. And I mean, like we've joked about it, like going to a doctor's appointment will send me into like a 48-hour catatonic coma.
But that's like my lived experience.
Sure. But no, I'm with you. Right. But I also feel like it applies to other parts of my life where like people will ask me to do something like objectively fun and pleasant. Like, I don't know, drinks after work. And I'll be like, are you a goddamn like, what do you think you're subjecting me to?
What are you playing at?
A lifetime of pain? Yeah. Of course I don't want to do that.
No, it's like you'd think that they were asking me if I want to go like get all my teeth pulled out.
Yeah. Do you want to go walk across a bed of hot coals with me? Yeah. And I'm like, no, thanks. I think I'd rather just be home alone scrolling until my eyes roll into the back of my occipital lobe.
Yeah.
But anyway, I feel like this person was basically being like, we need to actually stop normalizing that type of like, I just want to be like a little girl rotting in bed, because like it is okay to like choose to live life. Mm-hmm. And like, I thought the author's point too was interesting of like the extreme of that. Like there's no in between anymore. It's either like you rot in bed, and I like had to laugh out loud. They showed that, it was like some picture of a bed that a girl was curled up in, and someone commented like, y'all are a bunch of Jack Russell Terriers.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's like we've lost the ability to have like a middle ground of just like enjoying being around the company of people. Like we either have to be alone in our beds or so around people that we're like actually not around anyone at all. Like we have to just be like, I don't know. Yeah. Clubbing and whatever.
Well, that's what I felt like the article, it was like a good jumping off point, I feel, but it was like not at all comprehensive of like people's nuanced lives. And it's like, not everybody who lives wants to go to the club. Like people can want social interaction and feel lonely in their lives and also not want to be bumping that.
Right.
You know?
Yes. Yeah.
And I think probably there's the limitations of it being like a 500-word article. Like he couldn't really get into all of that, but.
Oh, I assumed it was a she.
Oh, it's a
I assume anything thought provoking is of course
anything smart and interesting
by a woman. So yeah, I'll check myself on that.
I think he might be gay. I'm not quite sure. Actually, I shouldn't speculate on that. But yeah, I did feel called in as well. Although I think it goes back to something we've talked about on the podcast about like the pervasive sameness of content on the internet, where it's like we can't exist like without everybody making the same joke or having the same post. Like I do think that, first of all, I feel like a lot of these people are being hyperbolic.
For sure.
Like for the sake of the content.
Oh, of course.
And it's like, how much are we going to read into like the fact that these social media posts exist? Mm-hmm. Like, is that going to be, are we assuming that that's reflective of what they're actually doing? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
do you know what
like
I mean?
how much of it is participation in a trend versus that being like a reflection of what you actually do in your free time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also, sorry.
No, go.
I also think like the assertion of like kind of the defensiveness around the rotting in bed introvert stuff is a response to the already kind of established standard of what is like normal and what makes you like a fun person, because it's like this idea of like you can't be a cool fun person unless you are like someone who wears a sequined crop top and goes to like the club.
Right.
And so I do feel like it's not like it wasn't just created in a vacuum. It's like based upon people's feeling of like judgment, like their feeling of being judged by the broader society for doing what they want to do and watching their shows in bed. By the way, what are these shows that you guys are watching? Because I've never heard of one.
I'd literally love to know. But I actually think it goes back to something that we were talking about earlier with like what you were saying about Sabrina Carpenter. Like, I think what this article was pointing out is like our existence feels like very templated right now. Like there are very finite ways to be. And right now, I mean, it always changes, but like right now it's falling into those two buckets of like the bedrock girl versus like the bumping that girl. And like, there's no gray area. There's no discourse. It's just like, you're either in this templated camp or in this templated camp. And what I thought was interesting in the article too was just like, you know, that's just a function of the type of social media we have, which goes back to the points that we were trying to make earlier, which is like, you know, online existence has been around for a really long time. Like people were online, you know, in like the early 90s. But the type of onlineness that we had there was like really controlled and super limited. And so I feel like what people were doing was, and I feel grateful for this, but I feel like we had the luxury of like forming our identities offline.
Yeah.
And then like experimenting with them online for better or for worse. And a lot of what we're seeing now, I think is of course like a function of our generation just being more online, but I also think is like a function of younger generations never forming their identities offline.
Damn, that's such a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we got to be people and then experiment with whatever this is. Like I think a lot of, and it's a powerful generation and tech is powerful too. So I feel like a lot of why we are so templated now is just because like we forgot how to think for ourselves. Like we forgot how to be our own people.
Oh, yeah.
So how's this for a comedy podcast?
Yeah, so we love levity and jokes. No, it's interesting. I also just think like I think in like the piece touched on this as well. Like it obviously goes so far beyond just what we're seeing online, and it has to do with like social programs and like the fact that we don't have community. Like,
yeah,
unless you like, there used to like back in the day, people had community in like religious organizations, like people, you know, there was a lot of ways to connect because like people did that more, I guess, because they didn't have phones. And now like there's really not a lot of like built in like social gathering community stuff that doesn't revolve around like drinking and like partying and stuff.
Well, also so much of it is like fully optional. Like we were talking earlier about just like, it's literally optional for me to go into the office. Like I don't and honest, I'm not advocating for me going in, but like there's a lot of optionality when it comes to like community.
Yeah.
Which is good for certain things. I think it's allowed people to like opt out of maybe like some type of like, and the article made the same point, like there's a lot of like freedom of expression that can happen online for people who can't do that in where they are. So like that's an upside. But you know, for people where that's less the case, like they can just opt out of being involved with people around them.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do that.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like in my own experience, like for like 2.5 years, I was like doing stand-up pretty regularly, and that became like my community. And then when I took a step back for like personal reasons, I suddenly was like, oh, I'm one of the bed rotting people.
Yeah.
And like I have been that before when I was like really, really depressed.
Yeah.
Which that's and I think the article talks about this too, of like there is some overlap there. So maybe
oh, dude, that's why I felt really called in, where I was just like, I think a lot of this is like a lot of residual stuff that at least I didn't really work through during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Where we just, and I think that maybe like this is, kind of like a side effect of that, where I'm just like, oh no, I think I am like low grade, potentially even at times like high grade depressed. And like, just because I'm doing it with everyone else doesn't mean that makes it better. Like, I think a lot of us are contending with like the darkness of what that time of life brought out.
Yeah.
Which is just like a complacency with isolation.
Damn.
So
yeah, there's a lot more to say too, because like as someone who has done a lot of introspection and like self work, oftentimes solitude is necessary for that. And like I know for a fact that like I wouldn't have been able to like do all of like the inner exploration that I've done. I can't do it when I'm like constantly going out, because it's just too much stimulation, and like people's perceptions make you confused about who you are and stuff. Like sometimes it is good to like spend some intentional time alone.
100%. And honestly, I think I've learned, and again, I think it's just like a matter of like recalibrating a little bit, because like I do need to, and it's like important and healthy for me to like recharge alone.
Yeah.
Like I desperately need that to be like my functioning self. And to enjoy being like performative and whatever, like goofy. Like I have to be able to recharge to get there. And but I also think that I've let some of that kind of go a little bit unchecked. Yeah. Where I just can really self-isolate to the point where I'm like, I do need to like spend some fucking time around people. It's okay to do.
It's okay to do that sometimes. Yeah. I also do wonder like to what extent people like us are contributing to the problem by creating this kind of content, because I know for myself, like
we're for sure part of the problem.
Yeah,
no
I mean,
worries.
in many, many ways.
Of course.
But like I know during my periods of isolation, like podcasts often replace human contact
fully,
much like my relationship with ChatGPT. Yeah. But whatever. I mean, this is good for me. So
same.
That's fine.
I don't care what it does for y'all. Yeah. I'm having fun times with my friend. With my friend named Carey.
But yeah, there's a loneliness epidemic and we're all really sad. And if you're not sad,
what's wrong with you?
Well, something else is wrong with you. And you need to stop posting so many dumps.
You need to figure that out. Yeah.
And you know what? If you're not sad and you're posting dumps, consider that maybe you are sad.
How about this is a little wake up call? Yeah. Sister.
Maybe get in touch with your somatic body and like actually just figure out who you are.
If you posted a life lately poop emoji caption, you need to seek help.
Yeah.
And we can point you in the right direction.
It's all 16 episodes of this podcast.
Yeah, it happens to be our compendium of podcasts, which you can find it at Floundering.
Which you can, like, therapy you don't actually need if you just listen to us.
Of course not. No. Yeah. And we've actually run that up the chain.
For sure.
With our own doctors.
BetterHelp approves.
BetterHelp absolutely paid us to say this. I was actually told not to manifest during the supermoon. Isn't that fascinating?
So people often say that you shouldn't manifest during eclipse or you shouldn't manifest during full. Well, new moons are typically when like are good for manifesting because it's like clean slate.
And do we know what a new moon is? It's just brand new.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know, the phases of the moon.
Oh, sorry. This is podcast, astronomy. This podcast seemed to have erased my brain. Continue. And I'm like, and tell me more about this moon.
Here's the thing with manifesting. You're always manifesting, so it doesn't actually matter what time. People put way too much emphasis on the moon cycles. It's like, chill the fuck out.
Right.
But if you don't want to manifest, you don't.
Did you know that my mom used to be my elementary school's planetarium instructor?
No, but that's so cool that you had a planetarium.
It was the school was literally in a trailer, but we did manage to have this. I only went to the school when it was under construction. So like we literally did only have classes in those like stationary trailers.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
we had those.
But we did have a planetarium. It was like one submerged dome.
That's so
and
cool.
my mom would point out constellations.
I love that. I need to get out of the city so I can see the damn sky.
Dude,
I need to see stars again. Like,
yeah. It's kind of funny though when you like I don't know, going to visit Parker's parents, for instance, where they know how deprived we are of a clear sky.
Mm-hmm.
So like we'll pull into their driveway at 10 p.m. and they're like, have you seen the stars?
That's so
look
sweet.
At the stars. And we're like, okay. Yeah, tears streaming down our ashen faces.
It's a full on like spiritual
our skin
experience.
is gray. Yeah.
Well, let us know if we broadened your perspective, opened your mind to the societal issues that we discussed today in a really comedic way.
I do feel compelled. Yeah. And mostly, are you laughing?
And mostly,
Maxim's like, wrap it up.
I mean, we do need to wrap it up.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Okay. So actually, this is good because I feel like it's a good forcing function to keep our M and a B's in a B.
Sure.
So our closing segment, here I go, is called Message in a Bottle. And we treat it like a little missive, a little note that we send out into the proverbial sea in hopes that it falls on the laps of an eager and worthy recipient. It's a happy note.
I do think we misuse the word missive.
Cool. I used it because you use it.
I know, because I used it and then I looked it up later and I thought, because I think
it's
missive,
like, do you mean missile?
No, because I think missive has like a negative connotation.
Oh, interesting.
Like
I
wrote an angry missive to like the grocery store for not carrying my brand of
Kellogg's yogurt
what did
clusters.
You say? The Oreo stuff-a-hole?
my Oreo stuff my hole. Oreo stuff my hole.
I think we know a podcast of it. We title of it.
Stuff my hole.
Oreo stuff my hole.
In parentheses, Oreo reprise. So anyway, no, not a missive if that's what it means. More of like a musing or a
love letter. If
anyone can procure a synonym, please comment.
Yeah, let us know.
Comment. Drop it in the comments. But anyway, it's a little love note. Did you go first?
I went first
Okay.
So you can go.
My little love note goes to people in countries who choose to speak to you in their native tongue, not to isolate you, but to kind of like make you feel part of it.
So sweet.
So sweet. I was in Montreal this past weekend to celebrate my cousin's bachelorette. And yes, that is my like 77th cousin who chose to have their bachelorette.
And yeah,
recently.
Your 77th bachelorette this year.
Yeah. But anyway, Montreal's like a fascinating place in that like you're in Burlington, Vermont, and there's a "Don't Tread on Me" flag, and then you cross the border and it's like "Bienvenue." You're like, the hell? So anyway, I was in this cute little gift shop, and I was like, of course, being just like a brutish American. I was like probably complaining loudly about my pancreas or my stomach. I was probably saying I shouldn't have had so many milk goods. I was probably just complaining. And I go up to the cash register to like pay for a little postcard. And the woman in the most like lyrical French asks me a question that I had to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, but I speak English. But I walked away from that being like, one of two things could have happened. The first, and both are sweet. The first is that she was just like, that she didn't hear me be so brutishly American and just kind of like, I don't know.
Assumed you spoke French.
Assumed I spoke French. Which like,
is, looking at you, I could see.
Maybe. Yeah. Not in that state. I was like sunburnt.
Okay.
And anytime someone is sunburnt, they're American.
That's true.
Yeah.
No other species of humans get sunburnt.
No one burns like we do. So yeah.
Scenario, and also, if someone has a streak of sunscreen on their nose like that, they are also American.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With like something stuck in their teeth. Yeah. So yeah, first scenario is like, oh, I assume she's French. Second scenario is like, it's a very gentle like reminder to like ground me and be like, just remember where you are.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to embarrass you, but please don't scream about your tummy issues in my gift shop.
For sure.
Here's a little reminder that you're not in your parts anymore.
Yeah.
Both so classy.
That's so sweet.
I know.
I also love when, because you can always tell, like, when someone knows that you don't, speak the language,
Certainly not.
but there's like a certain like look in their eye that they have because they're like still kind of speaking their language to you and wanting to sort of invite you into that experience.
Yep.
It's just like, that's human connection.
I know. And sometimes I do feel like, I mean, sometimes depending on where you are, it is just like done intentionally to isolate you.
Yeah.
Which again, deserved. But sometimes too, it is like an opportunity for you to kind of like flex if you've practiced the language at all. Like they're giving you that opportunity to do that. This I do think was like a please don't scream in my gift shop reminder.
Sure.
Said in a way that wasn't that. And she might have just actually said that to me in French and then ignored it and asked for my card. But anyway, I thought that was very sweet. And French, my God, what a language.
Well, also the inverse of that is like when you try in like another country and then they just immediately switch to English.
Oh yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, you don't respect me. And I like put so much effort into trying to connect here.
Yeah, and a 50-day Duolingo streak leading up to this.
And it's like maybe they also want to like talk in English because like they want to flex that they know it.
Yeah, for sure.
But also a lot of times it feels like they're just like done with you. And like
absolutely.
You self-centered Americans who like can't take the time to learn this fucking language.
Yes, absolutely. And like to be very clear, so deserved.
So deserved, so true. Very guilty of that.
Yeah.
And please speak to me in English because I'll try and it'll be bad.
Exactly. It'll be a bad experience for both parties.
Yeah.
So anyway, Montreal is a very special place. It is like a very capsule European experience just north of Burlington, Vermont.
Yeah, I picture it like regardless of season, there's like little like snow piles on like the roofs and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
On like the sills.
Yeah. There's like little Noel flags hanging all over
year
the
round.
place. Yeah, exactly. It actually was so warm. Like warm enough where we didn't even have to go out with coats at the night.
At the night. Wow.
Sorry, we got to wrap it up.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. That was really beautiful.
You're so welcome.
My message in a bottle goes out to amnesia.
Okay.
It's a beautiful experience that one can have in the human brain. But there's a specific thing that happened that I don't think I've actually shared with you. But a couple weeks ago, I sent you a video of John Early doing some promo for his upcoming comedy tour. And it was really funny because he's a genius. And I had to have you watch that. And after I saw that, I was like, I should look up when he's coming to New York because like I'm sure he's coming to New York and I definitely want to see him. I didn't see him the last tour. And then I promptly just kind of forgot about it and moved on.
Yeah.
And then like 2 days later, my friend texted me and was like, so happy we have tickets to see John Early. And I was like, God. What are you talking about? Crazy. And she was like, you bought tickets. And I was like,
shut up.
Says who? Like I wasn't there. And she was like, yeah, like when they first went on sale, like you got 2 tickets for us. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous that like I told you that I bought tickets for something that I genuinely did not buy tickets for. And then I, of course, looked, it was fully in my calendar, fully in my inbox with the tickets. Like, and I was just like, damn, that's such a joyous moment. Like, I'm so happy that I forgot about it because then I got to remember it.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And I got to kind of give thanks to my like former self who like really knew what I wanted.
I was going to say, what a benevolent fugue state.
Yeah.
I feel like that it kind of like cracks me up the same way that like someone has like a recurring like sleepwalking tic and it's like so harmless where they're like, oh, I just like reorganized my bookshelf in my sleep.
Right.
Or like, I, moved all the frying pans from, one drawer into the fridge. And you're like, that's so sweet and silly. I can't believe your little sleepy brain did that.
Right.
And you're bought tickets.
There are definitely like more times that amnesia can sort of be destructive and bad. But
absolutely.
When it's like cute little things like that, where then I just got to experience a moment of joy later on.
Oh.
Like it was like I was planting a little seed and then forgot about it. And then it was like, and I literally was about to go like buy tickets. Like,
well, thank God you didn't.
Yeah.
Money down the drain. Is this the one in October?
Yeah. It's October 14th.
I have seen the show. You're going to laugh.
I thought it was, I guess it is. Was it already? Did you already tour it?
Maybe my important friend Michaela took me to like an early version of it.
Oh.
But
Well, I
he
know
was
he
at the
toured,
Bell
like,
House at one point.
Last year or 2 years ago, yeah. But
Maybe
I
it
wasn't
was
sure if it was
that.
the same show or not.
Oh, so maybe Diff. Maybe Diff.
But if it is, because I
Anyway.
know his special came out and I watched that. And it was amazing.
Oh, and it was, yes. So this is different. This
okay,
is,
but I don't know, because maybe it's not.
who knows? Either way, it was
I'll have to let you know.
a total blast. What I saw.
He is my idol.
I want to put him in my pocket. And keep
Everything he does is funny to me.
him. I know.
I'm obsessed with him. So anyway, Amnesia.
What
Try
a,
to experience that.
what a hell of a drug.
A hell of
When
a
you
drug.
when you brought it up at first, I thought you said anesthesia. I'm like, yeah, I know. We discussed
Yeah, we talked about it.
that we're our best selves coming off of it.
No, I'm talking memory loss.
Yeah, for sure.
And especially now that I'm not smoking anymore, like I know I'm going to experience a lot less of this. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to like really, really hold on to those moments.
those
and
special little
those
moments.
special little moments.
Yeah, of blacking out in plain sight. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what life is all about.
Yeah. What a wild ride with you every single time these episodes.
It's always a blast.
I have so much fun with you.
Me too.
Before we go, what's on your sock?
It says, I forget. There's a phrase on it.
It's so cute.
It's like a little person.
What the hell is that?
I think on the bottom it says, "Shut up, I'm reading" or something.
Shut up, I bought John early tickets.
And then I forgot about it, but then I remembered.
I'm like, wow, how small is that font?
It's really specific. Yeah.
Well, cute.
Yeah. Thank you.
Should we get the hell out of here?
Yeah, I guess this is
So
our time.
Maxim can enjoy his PTO.
He's going on a work trip. So
Oh,
please be
right.
respectful. He's going to Kalamazoo.
Yeah. So Maxim can drink his pina coladas and do whatever the hell it is
In
he
the
does
conference
when he's
room.
not here.
It's
wonder what
actually northern New Jersey. So
Okay, go crazy, King.
Casino.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this was illuminating as usual.
Always. I hope y'all got as much out of it as we seem to do every single time.
And we end every episode the same way.
A little toe touch for our friends.
I almost
Did you see our legs quaking?
I was
Plain sight
nervous
like
because
that?
I thought my pants were gonna rip,
Oh my God, that would be.
which honestly would have been a nice little ending.
The
for
algorithm
this.
would have loved that.
Yeah,
That's one instance where I'm like, show them what we
Show
got.
'em. Oh, yeah.
Show them what we got.
it's a preview for OnlyFans later.
I love you.
Love you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye, school.
Bye.